Welcome back. This is the podcast episode about The Old Man and the Sea. If you haven't seen our review, please click this link.
Like, subscribe.
Yes. We give our short thoughts there and a quick synopsis. We assume you've seen it. We're going to talk in depth about the book, ask each other some questions. I'm going to begin with a question by Jay. Namely, is it the old man's own fault? Could you elaborate on your question?
Yeah, so what I'm referring to here is at the end of the book, you see the old man having struggled with the Marlin for 3 days, and then he sails home, but he basically comes back with nothing. So yes. the Marlin dies, the Marlin was dead, but the Marlin gets eaten by the sharks. Yes,
nothing remains.
Yeah, nothing remains. He basically has he has nothing. So my question to you is this his fault?
Well, he says it himself.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing.
It is his fault because he went too far out of the sea, farther than the other fishermen go. So
yeah, I think that shows an interesting dichotomy in the book. In that Santiago is really upset with himself, with his own pride.
Yes.
He thinks like I've ruined everything. I've ruined the Marlin. I've ruined myself, all out of stupid pride. But Hemingway himself, as an author, sort of applauds his pride and sets it as an ideal.
Yes.
So really, the question boils down to what do we as readers think?
Well, I think one thing we're forgetting here, or at least because even though the old man does say like it's his own fault, he does say this, but like it technically isn't. In the sense that the villagers themselves, the boy wants to go fishing with him, but the villagers sort of said, or his parents said, no. He's unlucky.
No.
He's unlucky. Don't go fishing with him. And if that hadn't happened, this entire story would be different because we repeatedly hear the old man say, "Oh, I wish the boy was here so that I could do this or do that and catch the marlin quicker." So if his village had more trust in him as a person or as a fisher, I think personally that this entire story would be different. So it's not necessarily his fault. But if his village sort of pushed him into this direction because he felt like he had to prove himself, I feel.
But then we probably wouldn't have the story.
Well, we wouldn't have the story, no. But for the discussion of is this his fault?
Yeah.
Is this his fault?
Well, it's during his fishing trip, during the 3 days, at multiple times he refers to, "Oh, I forgot to bring something." Mm-hmm. So if I had some lime, if I had some salt to just eat the raw fish,
this would have been much easier.
It would have been much easier.
Well, yeah, the eating itself because the fish is nasty.
Yeah. So there is in a way, there's a lack of preparation. As he didn't expect to catch such a big fish, which would have pulled him for 3 days before he catches it.
Well, is it reasonable to sort of, when you go out on a fishing trip, do you leave home? It's like, but what if I leave home for 3 days? And I got to make sure to bring limes.
I think this is also one of the most pivotal ways in which tension is introduced in the story, because you are right. It's a long story about him just being on sea, but just the sheer fact that he's being pulled out to the middle of fucking nowhere without supplies, that's what makes it exciting.
When I read it, I thought he catched a submarine.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't think he was actually catching a fish.
Wow, that is cool.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
So I thought, he's being pulled to, I don't know, and then to Florida by an American submarine, and then at the end of the story, and then he dies because I thought the story was going that way until you have this moment in the story where the fish jumps out of the water, and then they're like, all right, it's a fish. Yeah. It's a fish.
Yeah, maybe that's why he did it. Actually, no, maybe not.
Cool. That's cool reading.
I think
well, for me, the cover kind of.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
So there's a huge Marlin.
This is not a submarine.
on Ariane's.
I've not seen submarines, but this is not one. I haven't seen Marlins either.
Yeah, there's a huge Marlin in Ariane's book. So
I think this sort of leads us to the second question. Suppose he would have been dragged to America, maybe he would have met Joe DiMaggio. This is a question by Aryan. What is the added value of baseball in this story?
I have no clue.
Critics seem to agree that Joe DiMaggio is set forth as a hero character. He finds his strength in thinking about Joe DiMaggio because Joe DiMaggio is a man who faced hardship. He faced like an ankle sprain, or what was it?
Ankle sprain.
Was it? Is it bone splints?
Bone spring.
Bone splints.
Yes, and regardless, he keeps on playing baseball and grows out to be one of the most legendary baseball players of all time. And Santiago finds strength in this. That's really sort of the main message in the book, I would say, that a very important theme that's being discussed. How important it is, at least to Santiago or the author or both, to have endurance, like no matter
to persist.
Yes, to persist. That true greatness comes from persisting your whatever life throws your way.
And it would probably have made more sense to the readers at the time because they would have been more familiar with Joe DiMaggio. For us, Joe DiMaggio, well, I don't know a lot about baseball, so for me it's just a name.
I only know him from the Simon and Garfunkel song.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say, yes.
True.
So, I mean, it just shows, we're Dutch. You can't, baseball's not important here. We play football, soccer, football, we kick balls with feet.
Well, speaking of something we also don't have a lot in the Netherlands, nature. This is
Just fuck trees.
Well, we have man-made nature, not natural nature.
Which is okay.
This is a question by Dino Mata. What is the relationship between the old man and nature?
And the sea.
And the sea, yes.
Permit me
a very important subset of nature.
Permit me to elaborate a bit on this.
Yes,
because,
exactly. Go ahead.
I would say nature is both an ally of the man, or not an ally, but he loves nature. But at the same time, he fights nature. He has, as a fisherman, he's fought nature for his whole life. These fish, these big fish, because he has to hold them in and club them to death when he has caught them. And during the course, he fights the marlin, he fights the sharks. And
he fights the sharks like a motherfucker.
Oh my god, this guy can fight sharks.
Harpoon, then
Sharks for days.
Oh fuck, a shark. I'll just grab a harpoon and fucking drive it through his skull.
yeah,
Fuck you, shark.
And then, my harpoon is.
Oh, my harpoon broke. I'll just make a spear out of a fucking oar and a knife. I don't give a shit. Harpoon another 2 sharks.
He does actually beat a shark to death with just like with part of the boat.
Yeah.
Yes.
He takes a part of the boat and then clubs a shark. This guy is the original badass.
He's like what, 60, 70 or something? He's been out on sea for 3 days.
Arnold Schwarzenegger ain't got shit on this guy.
He just grabs a part of the boat. He does not give a fuck.
I think Chuck Norris has been taught by this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, at the end of the story, you also see that although men can struggle and fight nature, in the end,
they lose.
Nature wins. Although that was
I think that's
struggle of the fittest. And in the end, the sharks. Some of the sharks are the fittest.
Yes,
there are just many sharks.
Yeah, there are a lot of sharks.
Now that's something that I've read a lot on the internet doing research. A lot of people think that one of the themes is that death and nature is something inescapable. It's kill or be killed.
It's like taxes.
But this ordeal that Santiago goes through sort of allows him to transcend that, to find life after death. it is hinted at in the sense that when the Marlin dies, there's this important sentence about his life passing on to Santiago, sort of transcending death by being part of Santiago's life, and it is also addressed as being Santiago's great reward, maybe not to have the Marlin, to have killed it, to have the satisfaction, but also to be able to fish with Marlin again, so that his knowledge, his life experience can be passed on to Marlin, and in that sense, he sort of lives on.
Well, I'm not sure. I found the end of the book actually opposite. I found it very defeating, in the sense that
it's all been for nothing.
Yeah, in the sense that he caught the fish. He has his victory over the fish. Then he goes back. Then we have these sharks, and in the early sharks are killed, and then not the whole fish is whole, because the sharks bite chunks out of the fish. But he thinks, I still have a part of the fish. So he still has his victory, but in the end, he's
bit by bit,
chunk by chunk, he's
bite by bite,
he's thoroughly defeated by these sharks, and that's the sense I got at the end of the book. Yeah, this man is just thoroughly defeated.
But that's how I felt as well. That's why I said it's in my opinion, it's very tragic.
Yeah, but he says man cannot be defeated, only be destroyed.
I think he himself does not feel like he's defeated.
Yeah.
Does he not?
No,
I think
he sounded very defeated to me at the end.
Oh well, maybe he sounded very destroyed because he's bodily and mindly destroyed.
And there's also his prize, the Marlin, is just utterly decimated.
Yeah.
Like there's the Marlin wasn't defeated in the sense that Santiago is very respectful and very very reverent of the Marlin. And so in that sense, he's very the Marlin isn't defeated because he's like, I have killed you, but we are equal and we are brothers. So he doesn't do it as he doesn't make it a victory, but the Marlin is completely destroyed by the sharks, utterly and completely. There's nothing of him left, just the
skeleton,
his skeleton, his head, and his tail.
Yes.
So his brains and his legs. That's all there's left.
Even the how do you call that?
The bill?
Yeah, the bill, the pointy end, sticking with the pointy end.
The sword, basically.
Yeah, the sword. Even that is, I think, breaks during the book.
All right, I guess this issue leaves us divided. There's already 2 books open. People are checking for reference. I'm going to introduce the next question, namely.
Maybe can we go back to the relationship, because we have the defeat over the fight against nature, but we also have this relationship with nature in the sense that
he does love it.
Yeah,
they refer to the thing on the Marlin as a spear.
Spear. Okay,
it's all right. He both loves and hates nature, and I think nature loves and hates him.
Nature doesn't hate. Nature is.
Yeah, he sort of sees the beauty of nature. Yeah. He knows that there's just certain rules to abide by, death being one of the most important, and he respects it, I think.
Yeah. So my reading of the role of nature in this book is that it sort of represents just life in general, but I think that might be a bit too reductive of its actual role. But in this sense, it's the old man he's being thrown into these conditions out of his control by being dragged out by the Marlin, and the only thing he has is persisting. But in the end, you can't win life. The only thing you can do is not lose, and which is basically what Santiago did. He didn't lose, but he did
not win.
No, there's no victory here. He just hasn't lost yet.
Well, there is a victory, but there is no prize.
Yeah, the prize is spiritual, I guess.
Yeah. But there's no winning. There's just persisting before you lose.
Yes. I think that's a very accurate way of putting the way victory is being discussed in this book. It's all about persisting.
Yeah.
Before you lose.
Yes. All right. Now, this is something that has left people in the 50s divided. It leaves us divided as well. What's up with the lions?
So I have something interesting to say about this, I think. But I want to hear your opinions first.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I think the lions represent lost pride. Because you see is like, if we go, like a group of lions is called a pride of lions.
Yeah. That's true.
So in that case, he keeps dreaming about like this highlight of his life, because him sailing and fishing in Africa is described as his highlight, is the biggest, like the brightest point in his life. But now what he has this shack. He has no food. He has a bed made of newspapers. That's what he has, and he keeps at his low points. He's very low. He has no pride left. He has no respect from his peers. The only thing he has is a younger person who is his caretaker instead of the other way around. So because the young boy takes care of him.
Yes, but that's more common in Latin America, I believe. But
but like if I'm gonna look at this from my point of view, because I'm white and privileged and whatever. So, but like he has no. Like he has very little pride left, and in the end, like when he's fighting in the boat, there's one moment where he doesn't dream of lions. Yeah. Like he's waiting for the lions to come, but they don't come because like he has his pride again, because he's fighting this. He's in his element. He's fighting this Marlin, and the only time, like the first time after this, where he again dreams of lions is when he's back at home, where he's defeated, destroyed. He has nothing left. And he's in his bed, maybe dying, and he again dreams of lions. So my reading of is that it's lost pride. So I don't know if you agree or disagree.
It's not something that I would have taken out of it. It's also not something that I've heard about a lot. Yes, I've read up on some opinions. I don't know if anyone else has an opinion ready. It's a difficult question.
My opinion in my head.
All right, and I'll get back to you in a moment.
Well, I had the feeling it was a bit about youth and lost youth, because they're I think he describes them as young lions playing in the sand of the beach, and the first thing I thought, well, what are lions doing on a beach?
That was something I thought.
I mean, that is what I thought as well. Yes.
So I don't think lions are. Well, you have sea lions. You have sea lions, but
yeah, but they're very different lions.
Yes,
different
they're
lions.
not quite as impressive.
Well, an adult sea lion is.
Well, I would not get into a fight with an adult sea lion.
No, but those are larger.
Even if I had a harpoon.
Oh, those are larger than 2 meters. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're very big.
Oh, that's right.
But to me, the lions represented his, well, maybe a lost youth, because in the book there's described that he doesn't dream about his wife anymore, doesn't dream about his other adventures. He only dreams about, well,
the lions.
The lions, and well, to me, these lions are in a way set against his own ancientness.
Mm-hmm.
His
ancientitude.
Yeah, ancientitude. Yeah,
his anxiety.
Cool. I like ancientness.
So, for me, it was that was what the lions.
Well, that's what a lot of people eventually agreed upon. That it has a lot to do with youth, and some people note that it indicates it being a cycle, all of it, like the circle of life. It's at the end of his life, he goes back to the start, to his youthful time. But have you formulated an opinion of your own?
It's a little difficult because I'm also thinking
I'm moving Ariane's cheat sheet.
No, it's not my cheat sheet. He also before
your book has pictures.
Yes.
Oh.
Before he dreams about the lions, he also always dream about when he has to get up.
Those are nice pictures. I like them.
Yeah, they're good.
Yes, there are pictures in my book. But you bought it, so.
Can we trade?
No. I can't find it.
In the meantime,
Yes.
I
Just
think
go on.
I think it's like our things are very similar yet different. It's interesting because again, it's like going back to a high point, then to a low point, back to a high point in his mind. So like our readings are very they're similar yet different. It's interesting. Although I think I'm going to stick with mine.
Yes. Arjen, with
Yes.
your permission, can we go on to the next question?
Sure.
Yeah, we can refer back to this later on if you want.
All right. Now this is another question by Jay.
I'm a teacher. I'm prepared.
I'm a teacher too. I'm not prepared.
We've mentioned in the review that the language used in the book is rather simplistic.
Cueva?
Cuba. No, it's Cuba, so it's fa.
Cueva.
What effect does the language used have on the story as a whole? I think personally, if I can drop in here, the language used.
That's him dropping it.
The language used is rather simple, and the character itself is also very simple.
He's an old guy and he fishes.
Yes, and
That's it.
And he does have his internal struggles, and he sort of starts philosophizing out there. I'm not sure that's a word.
He starts
Yeah.
Oh,
talking
all right.
to itself.
It's a verb.
He really does contemplate his role in nature and in life, whatever. But in the end, he's a very simple character. He's just a fisherman. He has no poetic ambitions or any such. And I think that's
Except for one part. Carry on. I'm looking it up.
all right. And I think that the language used complements that very well. Simple language for a simple character, a simple story, a simple character, with deep themes, but it's accurately grasped in just a few little words. The themes at hand. Does anyone else have an opinion to fill up the time?
I think the use of language is very interesting because, like you said, it's very simple. I think there's only I started paying attention, and I think there's only one word with more than 3 syllables in it, basically. It's very cool.
Comfortable.
Yeah, it's very comfortable. But at the beginning, I thought there was like this almost biblical way of speaking. Like it's not archaic, but the way they talk about specifically baseball almost seemed biblical to me. Which I thought was very interesting.
There's actually a lot of biblical references going on. Mm-hmm. Santiago is likened to Christ in some instances. There's one part I didn't actually notice it myself explicitly, but when the internet reminded me time and time again, I was like, oh yeah, that's true.
He's gone for 3 days.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, and there's this one time where
he's carrying his thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I just now realized.
And he falls down.
And he
stands up.
And he falls down. And he's being nurtured back to. Oh my God!
Yeah, and there's actually.
Jesus, not God.
Oh my gosh! I just now had this revelation.
So it's present in a lot of implicit ways. It's also mentioned almost explicitly at one time where another shark comes. And he's like, "Aye," and it says something about you can't really describe the sound. It's just the sound someone would make if nails went through his hand and onto the wood.
Okay, so I have something to hook onto this after this, which isn't on your paper.
All right.
I think that the language used, also the Spanish words,
Yes.
I think they're kind of nice. They're making the story because
It does give you the feeling of being there.
Yes, and also they are speaking of a certain kind of fish, and then he first refers to them as
Aguamala. Bad water.
Yes. So he first refers to them in Spanish, and then there comes a slight translation to English.
Yes.
The Man of War.
Yeah, the Man of War, and also
Very good magic card, by the way.
there are more points that this happens. Also, the big shark, the first shark that comes. What was it?
The Galano?
The Dentuso? No, that's not something else.
Whatever.
Yeah, Galano and
Spanish
Dentuso are both these sharks.
Yeah, the Dentuso, the biggest Dentuso.
Please, my audience, I hope you'll excuse me. I did not bring a Spanish marine biologist with me for this conversation. I'll keep it in mind for next time.
But it refers to the Dentuso, and then it's said that it's not what kind of shark it is. That is, I don't remember what kind of shark it was. It was the biggest shark.
Whatever, doesn't necessarily matter.
No, but I like that. That I really liked in the reading.
Yes, that his expertise and his experience as a fisherman shows in him.
Yeah, in his word.
Distinguishing all these different sorts of fish and sharks.
In the Spanish, with the Spanish names.
Yes.
What I also thought was interesting is that even
I found it. He said aloud, there is no translation for this word, and perhaps it is just a noise such as a man might make, involuntarily feeling the nail go through his hands and into the wood.
Yes, exactly. That's
wow.
That's where he's like, Jesus Christ, people.
So about the language, I thought it was interesting that even though we're following this story from a third person perspective, we both have his internal and external language as well. Yes. So we have his internal thoughts and his internal debates and his external things as well, which he says out loud. And what was interesting is that his internal and his external thoughts are different. They're fighting with each other, basically.
Yes, really at the end of the story, it's getting much more heavier.
Yeah, which is interesting because on the inside he wants to give up, but on the outside, which is maybe just an ego thing.
He's like, no, that's not what a man does.
Yeah, exactly. Which is again maybe an ego thing. It's just like, nope, I'm a man. I got to do this. I have this big ass thing. It's got to be mine. Got to eat. So
and it's a matter of pride again.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So
you think too much, old man. He said aloud.
Yes.
And then the next line.
The next line is, what would Joe DiMaggio do if he were here today?
That's Brian Boitano.
No.
Yeah, no, but it's Joe DiMaggio this time.
But you enjoyed killing the Dentuso, he thought. He lives on the fish as you do. He's not a scavenger, nor just a moving appetite as some sharks are. He's beautiful and noble and knows no fear of anything.
So that I found a bit weird. He fought the Marlin for like 3 days, and then the mighty shark comes along and he just beats it. He just harpoons it in
I don't
10
give
seconds.
a fuck.
So I found the one part, the one use of language that I thought was vaguely poetic by the old man.
Yes.
Which was, he lay in the stern and stared and watched the glow to come in the sky. I have half of him, he thought. Maybe I'll have the luck to bring the forward half in. I should have some luck. No, he said, you violated your luck when you went too far outside. Don't be silly, he said aloud, and keep awake and stare. You may have much luck yet. I'd like to buy more if there's any place they sell it. What could I buy it with? He asked himself. Could I buy it with a lost harpoon and a broken knife and 2 bad hands? You might, he said. You tried to buy it with 84 days at sea. They nearly sold it to you too. Which I think is a very poetic thought for a very simple man.
No, it's really nice that he is, what you just said, is speaking with himself, his thoughts and his...
Yeah, it's his internal versus his external.
And really, what else are you going to do when you're out 3 days on sea? But
another point...
you become a philosopher, obviously.
Yeah, but another point is... at the start of the book, he has caught a fish for 84 days. Mm-hmm. But they mention another time when he hasn't caught a fish for 87 days. And when he comes back with no fish, it's actually the 87th day.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
But he does actually catch a lot of fish out sea. He just eats them.
Yeah.
He catches like 3 fish and a dolphin.
Yeah. He uses them as bait.
Yeah. So like he does catch fishes. He just eats them.
So I think what they mean with catching fish is catching these marlin and
bringing something home
and sharks, because there's also the shark factory where they
Yeah, the smell comes.
Yeah,
when
the smell
when
comes.
The wind
Yeah.
is from the north.
He drinks the shark liver.
So, like I have one more thing that I would like to hook in here, because we were talking about biblical allusions.
Yes.
And at the end of the book, you have tourists. It's assuming we have the old man being a Christ figure in this
Yes.
story. At the end of the story, we have tourists who visit the village, and they misconstrue
The Marlin for the shark.
The Marlin for a shark.
Yeah.
What would this mean? What would this allude to? Is this
In the biblical sense?
In a bit, well, yeah, because like, is it like a statement that we misconstrue?
Jesus.
So maybe
his gifts and. Like,
I'm not
what he
sure.
brings.
I'm not sure what. Well, in the last few years, at least in the Western world, Christianity has sort of become less popular. I fortunately did bring a historian.
Oh no. Yeah.
Do you happen to know anything about the decline of Christianity in the 50s?
In the 50s. Well, in the no, it was the 60s.
So there we go. Bam. Problem solved.
All right.
You're in the wrong decade.
All right.
Of course, there was some decline in Christianity, but it was not as pronounced as it is nowadays.
All right. At the time that I read it, I didn't really. When I read the book, I didn't think anything Christian about it. Just from a point of view of the story, it's sort of the final nail in the coffin. Like, even his legacy won't live on because people just think, it's some dumb shark. But
yeah, but like, if we do take, like, we're discussing from a biblical allusion point, like this is meant as like to allude to something biblical. I think it's very interesting that they misconstrue, because for tourists, the sharks are an ugly thing. They're not fishermen, and like this beautiful
Marlin.
strong, fierce creature, the marlin, is being misconstrued for a shark, which is ugly and a scavenger and like.
Yeah, and they say, I didn't know sharks had such handsome, beautiful formed tails. I didn't either, her male companion said. That's what the tourist said about
yes.
what they see.
Yeah, so I don't know. It might be a positive thing that the tourists now realize that there's beauty in ugly things as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's them crediting the sharks, where the sharks are the biggest fucking
The sharks are the bad guys.
douchebags in the story.
I don't know. We might be losing track here.
Yes, I am going to continue on to the next question.
Listener question. What do the tourists? Tell it.
Yes, that's the question. What do the tourists?
What do the tourists?
On to our next question. We're not quite sure if the old man has died at the end. That's pretty much open to interpretation.
Yes.
The question is, should the old man have died at the end?
Should
Yeah, well, I was like, when I read the story,
I'm gonna sit out on this one.
I was like, well, he's mirroring himself with the Marlin, and he says you have to die, or one of us has to die.
One of us has to
die. Yeah, and I was like, oh, really, like when he just hooked on the Marlin, I was like, well, probably he will just die at the end, just as he killed the fish. He will catch the fish, but he will die at the end, because he and the fish have become
Had a sort of connection.
Yeah, connection. And what you said in, I'm not sure if you said it just in this video, in this podcast, or in the video, that the Marlin and the old man, that the Marlin presents something to the old man.
He gives his life to
Yes.
the old man.
So I thought, well, the old man will die at the end because the fish has died, the Marlin died, so he will die.
Yes,
too.
I think there's. I think it's also interesting to see how the relationship between them sort of works in that way, because whenever the Marlin jumps or wiggles or whatever, which would be a result of his pain, then it also hurts the old man because the line fucks him up. Well, should he have died? I personally think he did. It was just his final work. For me, the moment that he decided to let himself be dragged to sea for this, I was like, all right, this guy is already dead. He's like, I don't even care anymore. I'll just do this because what else is there to return to?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you read too much into it. I think he's just a fisherman trying to catch a fish. And of course, it is a fight to the death because it's a big marlin and it's a big fish.
It's ironic.
Although I thought it was
a submarine.
A submarine.
Yeah.
At first. But he says...
Just 1 second.
Yeah.
It's ironic that you're saying he's reading too much into it when we're discussing symbolism.
Which
is we're 100% reading too much.
No,
into
but,
it.
no, but I think sure. I mean, it is in the end a very simple character. He's put down as a simple character. He's like, should I catch this fish? Sure, I'm a fisherman. That's what I do. Done.
Yeah.
It's big, and he does say that when he is following the fish, he is doing it from the perspective of like, if I catch this fish, a whole bunch of people can eat for a long time.
Yeah.
So it is a selfless act in that case, and he does want to return. It's never done from a fatalistic sense. It's like, I'll do this, and if I die, I'll die. It's like, it is persistence. He does want to victor over this fish.
Yeah, but well, there is a certain point in the novel that you're killing me, fish, the old man thought, but you have the right to. Never have I seen a greater or more beautiful or calmer or more noble thing than you, brother. Come on and kill me. I do not care who kills who.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a certain point that he's like, all right.
I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah. Well, and it's the internal old man.
Yeah, but the external old man is different.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah.
But does that mean you say he doesn't give a fuck anymore?
Yeah, all right. No, that's a little too.
He found his equal.
He found his equal.
Yes, and that's a better way to put it.
It's a war of the opponent.
Because it's a fight between equals. Yeah. It doesn't matter who wins because they're equal anyway.
Yeah, just like there's in the story, there's an earlier struggle or an earlier fight between him and a Negro. Or he's described
a black person.
He's described in the book as such.
Yes, champion.
And that's arm wrestling. Arm wrestling fight which lasts for
3 days.
Yeah,
I think it's 3.
No, it was
a whole day.
A whole day, 24
hours.
I think it was longer.
It's a long time anyway. It's
long
beyond point.
arm wrestling.
Yeah, and that's the same kind of
thing,
struggle and fight between equals.
Yes. With your permission, I am going to move on to not the last question, but
Permission
question 4.
Indeed.
A question asked by Jay again. Is this a classical tragedy? There's a lot of likenesses between this story and a classical tragedy, in the sense that it centers around this almost larger than life man. Like his strength is just absurd, actually. Mm-hmm. Just the sheer fact that he shanks sharks to death after being 3 days out in sea.
Well, and the arm wrestling story as well.
Yes, and the arm wrestling story, exactly. That's really the sort of things that you hear in classical stories. And also that he has this one flaw that will be his downfall. In this case, his pride.
His hubris! Which is very, very similar to classical tragical tales. It's always hubris.
Yes. Now also something that is, I believe, very important in classical tragedies is the 5-act structure with the climax in the 3rd act, and I'm not sure if that's really present here. Maybe if I take some time to think about it, but...
there is not really an act structure in a sense.
Well, there's the first act where he's at home, and then the whole part at sea could be considered the second act, and then the third act would be him arriving back home. But like, I don't know if I don't know.
Tragedies of 5 acts.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about this, which is why
I think there is quite. You have the first act at home, the second act where he's just at sea, and and I think that ends when he hooks on Marlin and just doesn't know yet what it is.
Then he's being dragged out to sea.
Then there's the third act. Then he's really dragged out on sea. Fourth act is that he has caught it. He catched it. And he
caught it.
Yeah, I'm really at this moment.
He did with the catching. Did catch.
Then he's and then the sharks come, and then the fourth act he's at home.
The fifth act.
That would be a good band name. And then the sharks come.
All right, Bo. If you're going to stick to that, then it wouldn't be a classical tragedy in the sense that in a tragedy, I believe the third act is the one that contains the climax, which would be the catching of the Marlin. But I think the do's or don'ts of classical tragedies is maybe not the most interesting thing to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you have the climax in the third act and then still have a fourth and a fifth?
Well, because
fuck your audience.
No, but because classical tragedies, that's more or less what it's. No, but that's what it's about. It's a lot of all right. Shit went down. What do we think about it? How does this change us as people? Mm-hmm. It's a lot of
it's an extended epilogue.
Yeah, I guess it's. I think in the fourth and the fifth act, there's a lot of space for the sort of discussions that you see in classical literature, which I think is what classical literature what makes classical literature very interesting. Mm. But anyway, I and a lot of people on the interwebs acknowledge your opinion that Santiago is a very classical character.
Yes. I did good reading there. My eyes caught the words in a good way.
So I think that leaves us to the final point of discussion. Another thing that often shows up on the internet as a popular opinion is that The Old Man and the Sea, it's one of the final books by Ernest Hemingway, and it's the first book to become popular in a streak of unpopular books.
That's The Old Man and the Sea. He was unlucky,
Yes, that's very
real life imitating art.
Exactly. What do you think about this? It's is The Old Man and the Sea is The Old Man Ernest Hemingway himself?
Oh, I don't know enough about Ernest Hemingway to make a
all right. Let me just.
Well, the only thing I know about Ernest Hemingway is that he was a very depressed person.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So he didn't enjoy life as much as some people do, and most people do, and in that way, the end of the book might reflect his own.
Yes, that's something I've saved that for this point on the agenda. But you mentioned earlier that Santiago does not dream of his wife anymore, of this anymore, of that anymore, only of the lions. And that's
young. I just read back, and he dreams about the lion like he loves the boy. That is something very sad.
Yeah. Take your time to read back the actual words, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, I will. There it is.
I know, man. Reading is hard.
Yeah, I know, right?
Just keep doing it.
Yeah, man. I say that way too often to my students when they make a mistake. It's like, I know, reading is hard.
They played like the young. He only dreamed of places now and of the lions on the beach. They played like young cats in the dusk, and he loved them as he loved the boy. He never dreamed about the boy, and then he woke up.
Yeah. So he only dreams about lions.
Yeah, but he loves the lions just like he loves the boy. I don't know anymore why I said this, but
it was relevant. So anyway, carry on.
But I don't think the old man himself is depressed.
Oh, that was.
No, he's just rolling with it. I think that's one of the most defining characteristics of the old man. He's like, this is just what life is. It's
But he finds beauty in life itself.
yes, in the way it works.
Yeah.
Even when it's hard on him.
So in that way, I mean, in that way, this could be like the old man could be an allegory for Ernest Hemingway, because in his case, if he was depressed, he still did manage to write this book, which is very much centered on finding beauty and persisting. So like this could be him working through his depression. But again, I don't know enough about Ernest Hemingway to.
Yeah, maybe his coming to terms with the way life has been.
Yeah, and just but I mean, if this is his view, if we look at the story and disconnected from the old man as a character, but the story itself, I would say that is a very fatalistic view on like achievement, and in the sense that even though he achieved, in the end, it doesn't even matter. Yeah. So yeah, in that case, it's very fatalistic and defeatist.
Yes. All right. I think
That's it.
I think we'll round it up with that. Thank you so very much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it quite as much as we have. And
Not at all.
next month we'll be talking about some other book. I'm just saying this. I'm not even sure if it's true, but I'm practicing saying it. So tune in next month. Subscribe so you don't miss it.
Don't steal my band name.
Don't steal his band name. He'll find you. He'll do the bomba clap.
I will do boomba clap
He will send his sharks after you.
because they will come.
Yes, the shark will come. All right. All right. Cut. I think this is the best way to end the video. This was Bookie, where we talk about books and other stuff. Thank you very much. See you next time.
I am currently waving.
I'm laughing.
Oh, you can do that.